Hello and welcome to another video on Adobe Photoshop. And today we're going to be talking about the clone stamp tool of the main tools over here. And this tool is really effective in some ways. So I'm going to show you that in a bit. Okay. So right now, as you can see that this is the clone stamp tool, and there is another one which is the pattern stamp tool. So both of them are different but works in an similar way. So for example, I want to make a clone out of this boat and the effects around it. So to do that, you simply have to click on the clone stamp tool, and then you simply have to zoom out like this. Yes. Now, as you know that if I just normally click on this option without anything, you will see that something bad is happening because I haven't selected anything yet and it is erasing. So let me undo that. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the alternate key or the alt key on your keyboard, which will give you the option to select the part of the image over here. So for example, I'm going to select the part of this boat and I'm going to left click on it, and I've selected it. And as you can see that this part that is inside the small circle over here, this is actually the part of the boat over here. And right now what I can do is I can basically clone this picture over here anywhere I want. Like I can basically create this, and as you can see that when I'm moving, there is another brush on the original boat picture. It is saying or showing us the places that we may need to confirm. So as you can see that we're basically cloning this part of the image over here right now. And this is pretty effective, which is why I told you that this is one of the most effective tools there is. So as you can see now that if I zoom out, it will seem like that there is two boats over here. Okay, so that is the work of the clone stamp tool. Or if you want, let's do another one like this. And now that we will select it first. Yes, now that we have selected, as you can see that we do get a part of the video over here like this. As you can see, now that we have selected this part, okay, we'll select again like this from here actually. Now that we have selected this part, we can simply move in a different place, for example over here. So now let's create the rock over here. As you can see that this exactly looks the same, and both of the arrows are actually helping you creating the rock. Now let's zoom out, and as you can see that we have cloned some parts of the picture over here. And as amazing as the Adobe Photoshop tool is, this effect is much more interesting. So now let's talk about the pattern stamp tool. So the pattern stamp tool is basically using a pattern and putting that pattern's effect in the picture. So I'm going to use another picture. Okay, yes, this. So right now what I want to do is I want to use this kind of pattern. Okay, so right now let me undo what I just did. And right now I'm going to select the pattern stamp tool, and I'm going to select the pattern over here. Now that I've selected the pattern over here, I can select this one, and as you can see that the pattern will be placed over here. Now if you want, you can also change the size of the brush or the density of it using these options. There is the size option, the hardness option, and there is some gradient blur effects over here, and there are some brushes like the general brushes, the dry media brushes, wet media brushes, special effect brushes. Then there is the mode option over here, which gives the normal, then the dissolve option, the behind option, darken option, and these are the brushes type or the color types over here. And this is the opacity, the transparency over here, as you can see. So Let me undo what I did and let me unlock the layer, then create another layer just in case. So now that we know what the tools for this are, let's create a pattern over here. As you can see that we are creating a pattern on the bag. And let me remind you that this tool doesn't detect the edge of the object that you're trying to paint. So remember that and work carefully with this. So now that I've given this pattern in the bag, what I can do is now basically use our blending options over here. The blending option is situated on the layer panel just beneath the find option, and the default option would be normal. You simply select on it and you'll get some options over here. As you can see that there are some multiple options, and that will give the patterns and effect over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use multiply, and then I'm going to use the opacity over here. And now that I'm using the opacity, you will see that there is some patterns in the bag. So now if I change the level of the opacity, it looks like that the pattern is basically on the back. So that is how you can use the pattern stamp tool. And that's all about the stamp tools over here. We will talk about the next tool in the next lesson.